Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as, well, one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. I guess all the rushing around this morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I have this great team that God has provided me. I always like to start with the one that's been here with me the longest, but Oz is not here. He's on the road somewhere to see someone in a play. So he said he would try to join us. We'll see if that happens. Otherwise, I'm the practitioner of the day. So the next person then would be Albertina Giuffre, who was our singer since like 2000. And she's joining us today as a special performance because joy is such a good topic. We know her as Tina. Thank you so much for being here. We love you. All right. And then there is my faithful assistant, Faith, who has been my assistant since the day she was born. She sits on the podium, or used to sit on the podium and do announcements with me. And then she and her sister would distribute the affirmation cards after the service with the ushers. And she's been our soloist for about a year now. So we're really happy. She's been my official assistant for almost 6 years now. So she's the person behind the scenes who will be answering all of your questions. And if you say, hi, hello, good morning, she's going to answer as me. So I go back later and look and make sure she covered everything. But she knows me better than I know myself. She grew up 6 blocks away from my house and spent a lot of time at my house as a kid when her dad would go on these out-of-town tours. So anyway, thank you for being here, Faith. We love you. All right. And today's topic is another one of our Advent topics. We, like most churches, do Advent this time of year. So joy is the topic. We also have this adjunct music team I always like to recognize. They don't appear on camera, but they have provided us with all kinds of their music. That is Reverend Ferry Elaine Silver and Karen Drucker. So thank you so much, ladies, for everything that you do for us. We certainly appreciate it. All right. There is a watch party button. If you would like to invite your friends, just click on that watch party button. Invite all your friends. It's a great way for them to know what kind of services we do on Sunday morning. And it's a great way for you to be able to talk back and forth with each other without bothering anybody. You know, I need to check on something actually, Faith. Hang on one second. I had somebody call me and want to join us, but I don't. She was supposed to send me a friend request. I'm just going to check on this real quick while we get into our centering song. So I invite you now to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely presence of God is in this place.
Surely God is in this place. This very moment, for God is simply all there is, all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is in this moment. And so this service represents the message of God in and through all of us, through the team that God has provided, through Tina, through Faith, through Lynn, through Oz, through Karen, through Elaine, as it is in myself. It flows through all of us equally. And so I bless the service today because I do know that everyone listening here, whether that be in real time or later on, is blessed with that same infinite power, infinite presence, infinite love flowing through. There is no place where one leaves off and the other begins. And so this service is blessed. I call it good and very good. And I give thanks that this is so. And so it is. All right. We have a lot going on this morning with Oz not being here. So, all right. I'm all discombobulated because I know like we have a certain flow and it's a little disrupted today. Okay. So if you're here, please say hi, hello, good morning, however you'd like to greet us. Let us know you're here, whether that's in real time or later on. If you stop by later on, just say hi, just to leave me a note, let me know you were here. But in a facility, I can look out and see who's here. And with this software, I don't have that ability. So please let me know you are here. We would really appreciate that. If something you hear, if you like it, hit that button, that thumbs up button. It doesn't matter, you know, whether it's something I say or something Tina sings or something Faith does, or a prayer, whatever hits you as a like. Do that like button. If you love something that you hear, use the hearts because we love to get love. And if something strikes you as really, really powerful, by all means, use the wow button. That feedback is really important to us because it helps us see that we're on track. Okay. This isn't my message. This is God's message. But we also want to make sure that we're providing the kind of service you would like to see. All right. Without further ado, we are going to have Tina doing a more traditional Christmas song, Joy to the World, right now.
Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods rock hills and plains. Repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. sing, sing, sing. He rules the world with truth and grace and makes the nations free. The glory of his righteousness and wonders of his love and wonders of his love and wonders of his love and wonders, wonders of his love. We will sing, sing, sing. Joy to the world. We will sing, sing, sing. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, God of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. Now it's ended. It's a different one.
That's the other thing that is so challenging without a facility. When I'm sitting on the
I
podium
know.
and you stop singing, I know when it's over.
I know. I should go. No, that's not cool.
Not now, not now. This is like an interim thing. Okay. Don't
Just keep going. You know? Just ignore her and keep going.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Tina.
God.
Oh, the challenges of this software, I'm telling you. There's good things. I mean, I totally am grateful for this software because I could do this, but I'm telling you, there are some challenges with it, like when to know when to clap, for example. All right. We are on our Advent topics. In the Christian philosophy, they do Advent as a preparation for the second coming of Christ. It's a leading up to Christmas Day. And the topics are love, joy, peace, and hope, or hope and peace. I organize the topics based on when Hanukkah is, which is next week. So we're going to be talking about hope next week. But this week, we're going to talk about joy. And joy is an interesting topic. When you think about like what that song says, for example, joy to the world, the Christ has come. And so the joy comes from the idea that the Christ essence is here, right? Now, in our philosophy, we don't see it as a person coming back, being reborn. Instead, we believe that Christ consciousness, that Christ essence, that Christ life is something that we all experience when we focus our attention and intention on the life of God as our main focus. Because we are filled with the unconditional love of God. We are filled with a joy that love brings us. And we are filled with peace and hope, right? And so that song is the epitome of what the Christian faith believes is the second coming of Jesus, and we believe is the second coming of the Christ consciousness. And the thing is that once the entire world is focused on that God reality, on that love of God, so to speak, once the whole world is focused in on that, that's the second coming of Christ. That's when we will know that the Christ consciousness has completely enveloped this world. One of the only things that I've ever agreed with George Bush on is the 1,000 points of light. Not probably the way he meant it, but it's the way I mean it. And that is that we ignite each other. So when I feel that sense of joy and I communicate that sense of love to others, then they catch it. It's like catching a virus almost. And so that affects maybe 10 people, and those 10 people affect 10 other people, and then those 10 people affect 10 other people, and so on until we reach that 1,000 points of light, which is reaching the point of mass consciousness, right? So when the Christ consciousness is brought about in our lives and we touch the lives of other people and they catch it, then we reach that mass consciousness at about 1,000 people. Just saying. It's not exact. It could be 1 million, but that's the idea of the second coming as far as we teach. Now, so joy is something that we have every day if we will just look at it. I mean, even in the midst of so much going wrong, we can find something to have joy in. I had this student one time that took my, I think it was the foundations class, I'm pretty sure. And at the beginning of the classes, what I do is I say, okay, where do you want to be in 10 weeks? From 1 to 10, where do you want to be? Pick a topic and let's talk about where you want to be. And I had this one student who wanted to experience joy. In his opinion, he had never in his life experienced joy. And I said, okay, where do you want to be in 10 weeks? He's like, 10. I said, where are you now? 1. Wow. Okay. And so we set about working on his joy for the entire term. And what happened was along the way, he discovered that he'd had joy all of his life, that there were little moments of joy that he could find if he just recognized them, because he was waiting for this huge like bubble of joy to strike him. And we all do that. I'm not laughing at him because we all do that. We do that with love. We do that with peace. We do that with joy. We do that with hope. We do that with everything, that like prosperity. It has to be this huge thing, not these little things, right? We have to recognize the little things and be appreciative and grateful for them so that more and more will be created. What we focus on, we create more of. So if I'm focused on the little joyful things that happen to me in my life, then I create more joy, right? And I know it's challenging when there's stuff going on to find joy in the moment because it doesn't feel joyful. You know, there's pain and there's suffering. And my biggest trick for me has been to sit with the feelings, let those feelings come up and do what they need to do. And then turn my face, turn the other cheek, so to speak, towards what is joyful for me. It's like when someone dies, for example, at the memorial, you know, you focus your attention on the grieving, but you also, if the minister is one of ours, will say, remember the good things. Remember the accomplishments. Remember, you know, all of these things. And so I'm pretty sure most ministers in all faiths do that. But I'm just saying, like, I know for a fact in our faith we do. And the reason for that is because you want to remember the joy you had with that person. Joey and I lost our mom. Gosh, it just was a 5-year anniversary. And it's been an interesting process because at first it was very difficult to find the joy in the moment. And then as we began to talk to people about her, and all of the moments that we had together, like the Vegas trips and mom with her scooter. Mom with her scooter was just hilarious. You know, she didn't have a lot of mobility towards the end. So we set her on a scooter and it was like she had this burst of freedom. And so the settings on these scooters are like turtle and rabbit, right? And Joey and I would set it to turtle before we put her on it, and then she'd turn it all the way up to rabbit and take off, you know, and we're running through the casino saying, hey, mom, you know, turtle, 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 you know. So in the moment of your grief, if you can remember to remember those joyful moments that you had with that person. So it's the same, whatever circumstance you're having, whether that means a family member that's in the hospital or in jail or not around anymore. You remember the joy that you had with them instead of remembering the pain that you're feeling right now. Because as long as you're remembering the pain, you can't seem to get out of that loop, right? If you're remembering the joy, then it creates more and more moments of joy for you. So I want us to think about joy in that way, that it's the remembering of the little pieces of joy that we receive in everyday events, whether that's kitties and puppies or like, you know, my dog, she makes me laugh 24/7. I mean, I just look at her and I laugh. And so to me, she represents a joyful experience no matter what. Not that she doesn't annoy me, but I can't stay annoyed because she's so darn cute, right? And the joyful times when I'm sitting on my patio and I just take in this breath of air and I feel good. That's a moment of joy. Remembering all those little moments of joy is going to create more of those moments of joy for us. And the little ones are going to lead to bigger moments of joy. So let's talk about joy for a minute, definition of joy in particular. When the organization was doing our restructuring, we did this questionnaire on our values, and we had like 100 values to choose from, and we had to pick the top 10. So it was sent to practitioners, ministers, board members, and lay people. In other words, congregants and staff. And everybody filled out a questionnaire and sent it in. Well, nobody could agree on the same values. And part of that was interpretation of values. Okay. So out of the top 10 we thought we would get, we got 8. And that's fine. We did that in our own church and it was the same thing. But what it told the organization is that we didn't have shared values, that we couldn't agree on the definitions of what those shared values were. And I became more and more aware of this process when I was the little horn on her scooter and her yelling, "Get the bleep out of my way." Mm-hmm. Michael, Joy's husband, just shared that. He said his joy about our mom was her little horn on the scooter and her yelling, "Get the bleep out of my way now." Yes, she was colorful. Anyway, not like you can hear that horn anyway. It's like beep, beep. Like, you know, she'd lay on that horn and nobody could hear her. And then she'd be yelling at him to get out of her way. But it was funny. Yeah, that's a good story, Michael. But anyway, so I did a PhD, or I started a PhD program. I never got to finish it because they didn't have product to send me. And I was trying to do it online because I couldn't go to North Hollywood every weekend for 2 years. So I was able to attend one class in person at the North Hollywood campus. And we talked about master values. And the whole point of the master's values was to see what you're running away from or what you're running towards. Because if you're running away from something, you don't, there's no satisfaction, there's no joy, there's no, wherever you go, there you are, right? And so if you're running away from a situation, or you're running away from a state, or you're running away from a relationship, or you're running away from, I don't know, your home. I don't know. If you're running away, there's no joy, there's no satisfaction in that. But if you're running towards something, there's a lot of joy and a lot of satisfaction in it. And so as we began to talk about that, we started talking about the definitions of satisfaction and joy and all of that. And what it came down to, because everybody in the class, there was about 20 of us in the class, everybody in the class had a different definition of joy. And it was really interesting to listen to that and to recognize that joy is really not as big as most of us make it out to be. Like, I need this to be joyful, or I need that to be joyful. And that's what most of the people in the class were saying. There was a couple of us that, realized that joy is an everyday, every moment kind of thing. But for the most part, most people were waiting for that big dollop of joy to hit so that they would feel like they were joyful. So I ask you right now, you don't have to answer me. It's just a rhetorical question or one for you to delve into yourself. What is your definition of joy? What brings you joy? You know, is it kitties and puppies? Is it, what is it about joy that is significant in your life? Regardless of if it's little or if it's something really big, what brings you joy? I remember these GEMS reports that we used to have to fill out, growth, education, and ministry. I think it was what the acronym came from. But these reports were just obnoxious, really. You're supposed to fill them out for 2 years, every 6 months, I think it is, if you're in an existing church, meaning you've taken a post as an assistant minister or something like that. And it works towards your ordination. So you're supposed to be ordained in 2 years. Those of us that decided to start new churches had to do it every 3 months. And it was until the church was chartered. And so I actually didn't make it for 7 years because I was in 3 different churches. And so I had to start all over again every single time. I helped a friend of mine start the Sacred Circle Church up in Arvada, or wherever up there, 120th and Washington, I think it was. And then I left there and I created a church with, I can't even think of his name, Jim Chandler, the Denver Church of Religious Science. We started that church. And then I left that church and now I started my own. So here I am 7 years later, still filling out these ridiculous reports. Being there for someone else when they need it. Yes, Faith, that's actually, yes. That is a really good example of joy. Because it does bring you joy when you can be there when they really need it. And there are people that really need it. So anyway, I'm filling out these reports and it's like 8 pages every quarter and for 7 years. And it really challenges you to find joy in your ministry. It's kind of easy at first. I got this boilerplate on my computer so I could just check off everything to make it easier because it was just a pain to fill out every 3 months. And but the one question each time that you had to answer that you couldn't just check off was, where do you find joy in your ministry? And things begin to happen that really challenge you to find joy in the ministry, because you're sitting there and you're thinking, I'm like, what brings me joy? What is it that I can do? And I really resented these reports at first. And then I became grateful for the opportunity to define the ways that my ministry brings me joy. For instance, how do you bring joy to your congregation was one of the questions. How do you bring joy to your family, your friends, those kinds of questions? And so you are challenged to actually look for joy, right? Look for the good and praise it. It was always that kind of experience. And so these days, I've kind of trained myself as a result of doing those reports. I've trained myself to ask myself that same question. How do I bring joy to the congregation? How do I bring joy? I think I bring joy because we laugh a lot. Whenever there's like, we clap at the wrong time or whatever, we try to laugh and play and try to be joyful about what we're doing here. I could be a talking head for an hour. Rah, 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 rah. And I know that's boring. So we offer music, we offer, prayers, we try to offer the most full experience of a church service as we can, being online. But we also try to laugh and play with it at the same time, because, if you don't laugh, you could cry. So some of the stuff that comes up, I try to be so professional, and then stuff like that happens. And so I laugh at it, and I hope that for you, it brings you joy, because that is really what I'm about. I'm trying to bring joy to the experience of church. I don't want church to be something that people dread coming to. I want church to be something they look forward to because it's fun. It's exciting. One of my mentor ministers, Dr. Fred Vogt, used to say, if it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. And so he always said that when ministry wasn't fun anymore, he would go find something else to do. And I understand that. I do. It needs to be fun. It needs to be something that feeds us. It needs to be something that fills our soul. And I want my experience of it feeding my soul to be your experience as well. So that's why we talk about this. We talk about joy this way for that very reason. If you think about little children on the playground, for example, it's humorous. I've stood there. I didn't have any kids of my own, but I've been there with my nephews, and I've been there with Faith when she was a little kid on the playground, and I've seen what happens. Kids meet and they're like, "Oh, we're best friends forever," and it only takes like one conversation for that to help, for that to happen. As adults, we let the cares of the world overtake our joy, so we don't bond that quickly unless we're smokers. Smokers bond immediately because they have a common interest. But kids don't need a common interest. They just, let's play. What game do you like? I don't like that, but I'll play it with you. And they just have this levity about the whole situation. A couple weeks ago, I said, don't take it so seriously. Lighten up, right? And joy, being joyful, is about lightening up. It's about not taking everything so seriously. It's about seeing the humor in our everyday circumstances that are not perfect, right? I don't think that I'm joyful about my mom's death, but I try to remember the joyful times with her, and that does bring me joy. And you know what animals and little children have in common is they have the complete acceptance in the present moment, right? They don't care about what's happened the last 10 years. They don't care what's going to happen in 10 years, most of them. I mean, there are kids out there that do, but for the most part, kids don't think about the past or the future. They're right in the present moment where they need to be, because joy is in the present moment. And our way to joy is a complete acceptance of God's love in the present moment. Since it only happens in the present moment, we can experience joy in the past, and then we can look forward to joy in the future, but we can only actually have that experience of joy in this present moment. So stop and think about what brings you joy in your life. What is it that brings you joy? You don't have to answer me. I just want you to experience those feelings of joy. Because remember, thoughts are creative, right? Every thought is not creative. Thankfully, because those 400 thoughts a minute would be like, now it's here, now it's not here, now it's here, now it's not, now it's here, now it's not, right? And as a general rule, human doings are focused on the wrong things. We get focused on conspiracy theories. We get focused on what's happening that doesn't look good in the world. We get focused on all of that stuff, and it drains the joy right out of us. And instead, if we can focus on the joy in those present moments every single time, look for the joy in whatever the circumstance is. If we can do that and stop and think, what brings me joy in this moment? Then we're focused on the right thing to bring us more joy, right? I'm all about joy. I want to live my life in joy. I don't like being depressed, and I don't like thinking about all the negative stuff that's going on in the world. I try to limit my TV viewing, my news viewing, to a half an hour every morning. That's it. I just want to know what's going on in the world so I can speak intelligently about it, and then I don't want to hear any more about it. And every now and then, Lynn will say, "Did you hear about such and such?" "Nope, don't want to hear it." And he's like, "Well, you need to know what's going on." "I know what's going on in the world enough. I don't need to know." And so I do that to protect my moments of joy, because if I crawl down that hole with the news, or if I crawl down that hole with politics, or if I crawl down that hole with conspiracies, if I crawl down those holes, it's very difficult to get out. In Foundations, we talk about, there's this chapter in our workbook that's about, falling down into a hole. And the next time you go down that street, you still fall into that hole, but you're conscious that you're falling into that hole. And then the next time you go down that street, you avoid the hole. And then finally you avoid that street. because we know that we're falling into a hole, but we seem to not be able to help ourselves as human doings, right? And so we learn to not crawl down that hole, don't fall down that hole, but instead seek out the joy. Seek out a joy break, for example, like a gratitude break. Seek out a joy break every day. Not this big overwhelming fulfillment thing, but what are the little fun things? Watching a butterfly land on a flower, sitting on my couch and watching the clouds. My very first experience of joy, which actually turned out to be my very first experience with meditation, I didn't realize it at the time, was I lived in Long Beach and I used to go down to Laguna Beach. It was about a half-hour drive, and I would drive down there and I'd go to this place, catch this name, Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory in Laguna Beach. And I would get these chocolate-covered strawberries. Little did I know at that time that it was a nationwide company, that everywhere I go, in airports and everything, have Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory in them. But at that point, I didn't know that. All I knew was this little place in Laguna had these little chocolate-covered strawberries, and I would get 6 or 7 of them, and then I'd go out onto the beach, and I would sit there, and I would wait for the tide to come in. And then I'd eat my chocolate-covered strawberries. But it gave me such pleasure and such joy. That was my Sunday night experience, because I knew that ended my weekend, and then Monday I would have to go to work again. So I did that every Sunday evening. I would go and do that. And it brought me such joy. And then later on, I realized that with the tide is a negative ion experience, and that what was actually happening is I was completely changing my state by being in that negative ion and eating those chocolate-covered strawberries. So I was sitting there enveloped in a meditative process, not even realizing that was meditation. So stop and think. How do you bring joy to your friends and family? It's obvious to them, just not us. We tend to think of all the things we do wrong and that I'm not bringing joy to them. But what's really true is that our friends and family do recognize where we bring joy to them. Ask them. Allow yourself to envelop in that consciousness, that state of awareness, that feeling of joyfulness. And what keeps us from our joy? That's the other question to ask yourself. What is it that keeps me from my joy? Fear is one of those things. Keeps us from experiencing the joy of the moment that we're in. St. Francis of Assisi and the lepers was a perfect example of that. He went amongst the lepers. He didn't allow his fear of them to deplete his joy. Todd Evan Pressman, PhD, has a book called Radical Joy, Awakening Your Potential for True Fulfillment. He says, when we find and face our fear, we are flooded with a joy that has always been there waiting for us. Because what's true is underlying that fear is that well of joy. And once we release the fear, it just bubbles up from within us. Daniel in the lion's den was a perfect one. He turned and faced the lions. What choice did he have? Lions calmed down and relaxed, but he didn't have a choice. He had to face the lions. I mean, they were going to rip him apart either way. So you can, go turn your back on them and cower, or you can stand there and face them. And it's a good analogy for facing your fears. It's a beautiful story about how you can turn that fear into joy. So what fears do you have that have been keeping you from your joy? Do you know? Massage is another example. When someone's massaging you and it's painful, our first reaction is to pull away from the pain. Like, how can you fully benefit and relax when you're pulling away? So I was taught by my massage therapist of 29 years to breathe and lean into the pain. And when you do that, it releases that pain. And when it releases that pain, there's endorphins that flood your system. And it's the same as that feeling of joy. So when we have a fear, instead of withdrawing in reaction like we normally do, lean into it. When we're willing to turn and face our fears like Daniel did in the lion's den, the joy is there for us to experience. So always practice choosing joy over fear. And then unforgiveness is another one. How many of us live in fear of someone hurting us? because of some experience we've had. I talked the other day about Tammy Faye Baker and Vanilla Ice being in the same house on some reality show, and he wanted to go see what he didn't know who Tammy Faye Baker was, who got famous for crying and having her makeup run down her cheeks. But she was giving a sermon about in the olden days, when someone would commit a murder, they would take the corpse and strap it onto their back, and they would have to wear it until it rotted off their back. And that's what unforgiveness is like. It's like having that corpse strapped to your back. When you first start out in a relationship, you have rose-colored glasses and joy is easy to find. And as time goes on and you fight more, joy is harder to find because we're busy looking at what's wrong. We forget to go back and look at what's right. It is in our human doingness nature to focus on the things that we disagree about. And that's really part of a relationship. You know, in the beginning, everything is wonderful. And then as your differences start to surface, it's a natural evolution of that relationship to start to disagree about things, right? But there was a reason that we fell in love to begin with. So try to remember that. Forgive whatever's in the past. Because, you know, forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about us. It's about us taking that corpse off our back, right? And so it doesn't do anything to them. They've gone on and they're living their life. They don't even know they've done anything. And us holding it against them only hurts us. So forgiveness releases the bonds that keep us from our joy. The third thing is the sense of separation. One of the things that keeps us from our joy is the idea that we are separate from God. And we have this idea that God is separate from us. Maybe it's religious training, I don't know, wise judge in the sky kind of stuff. But what's really true is that we are made of God stuff. And if we're made of God stuff, we cannot be separate from God. And so this idea of separation is only an illusion. Hi, Fred, Kathy, and Marlene. It's only an illusion that we're separate. There's no wise God in the sky judging us, punishing us, or rewarding us. And, you know, we have a vision of a supportive being within us that is supportive of our desires. And it's so much easier not to have fear when you know that God is within you. You can't feel lonely. You can't feel fear because you know that God is all there is. And it's so much easier to turn and face those fears. It's so much easier to forgive ourselves and others. When we realize God is here, we can't be separate. So joy is right on the surface for us to experience. When I think of joyful people, I have one in particular that really did it for me. And that'll be the last thing I'm talking about because I'm running over again. Her name was Sadie Turtelot. And when I was in the School of Ministry, we had a class with this charismatic pastor. And his thing was he loved to, the first half of class was all about him playing the guitar, and we were singing chants and dancing, Sufi dancing. And Sadie would sit in that class. She'd taken his class over and over again. They were friends. And later on, after the class was over, he would host these events at his church. And Sadie was always there. But Sadie would laugh all the time. She just laughed and laughed and laughed all the time. She was like a little Buddha to me. And one time we ran into her when we were doing Breakfast Club, and she came up and she said she had had cancer and had healed it by humor and laughter and joy and focusing on the light. Now she's gone on. She left the planet. I think she was in her late 70s, I believe. But she never believed in separation. She believed that we suffer if we don't allow joy to bubble up from within us. And so it's those little memories of joy that we are keeping at bay with all of those things, the ideas of fear and unforgiveness and all of those things. So this week, would you do this with me? Face your fears head on. Don't withdraw. Lean into them, press into them, breathe, and lean into the experience. Forgive yourself and others. Just release us all from the suffering. Release the joy that is being kept from bubbling up from within. And then finally, recognize the power of God that is within us, that is greater than anything out there. So this week, just focus on those three things. Let joy bubble up. Let your mind go to the joyful place, no matter what you are experiencing. Let's have a prayer. So right now, I just turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence, the infinite life of God, to that place within me that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is. One love, one life, one being, one power. God is all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is here in this moment within each of us. I know that to be so for myself. That's where I find myself, in the midst of God, my very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that is God flowing through me. That is the truth about me. As it is the truth about this team that God has given me to manage. For Tina, and for Faith, and for Oz, and for Lynn, and for Karen, and for Elaine. For in our human doingness, we open ourselves as a channel through which God's love, light, power flows. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through us all. I know that same truth for everyone here today, whether that's in real time or later on. Anyone viewing this at any time. For we are all one. We are connected by it, through it, as it. There's no place where one leaves off and the other begins. One power, one presence, one being. And we are of it. My Takios and all my brethren, we are connected. And so this coming week, I bless it with infinite experiences of joy, to that playful place within us that knows how to play, knows how to lighten up, knows how to experience, even in the worst of times, one little nugget of joy, which leads to another big conglomerate of a joy, which leads to an even bigger experience of joy. I call it the essence of joy in our lives. And so I bless us all with that experience this week. A constant, throbbing experience of joy, if you will. I know that seems to be true for every name that is in the ministry of prayer today. Because I know that whatever experience we are having right now, whatever condition is happening, God is the answer. God is the power underlying all of that. God's power, God's presence, God's life, God's love. More powerful than any condition anyone could ever experience. So I pull back the veil and I reveal that truth here and now. I claim this good in their names right now as good and very good. With that said, my heart just fills with gratitude to know that that is so, to let it be, and so it is.
I hope you can hear this, everybody. Sing along with me. It's a chant, so it's easy to follow. And just repeat it. I feel joy. 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 I feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel joy. 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 I feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel joy. I feel love. 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 Feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel love. 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 Feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel love. I feel love. I feel love. I feel joy. I feel love. I feel joy. And I feel love. I feel love. And I feel love. I feel joy. 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 I feel peace. I feel peace. I feel love. I feel joy. I feel joy. Oh, I feel joy. 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 Feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel joy. I feel joy. I feel it, feel it, feel it. I feel joy. I feel joy. I feel joy. I feel joy. Did you always sing with me?
Yeah.
I didn't have any feelings. No, I'm kidding. Shut this thing off.
That's another one of the limitations of the software is, when we were in a facility, she could put the mic towards the congregation and we'd all sing. So she was getting that feedback of us singing, I don't think she can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't know if you didn't have the earphones on, if you couldn't hear me. So
well, no, I'm tethered. I'm tethered with cords, like old school. So
I know,
now I have to plug you back in. But my phone speaker still works.
Oh, good. Yeah. But I was just saying, don't you think that's one of the limitations of the software? Don't you miss that feedback of having to sing along with you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Oh, that's why I didn't mind having 2 applauses in my first song. No, I'm kidding.
You got double the applause. Okay. Well, we love you.
Take it
Thank
over.
you so much. She will be back on Christmas Day, so you want to make sure and tune in for that. All right. Excuse me. Now is the time. This stupid fungal infection is driving me crazy. Now is the time for this is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to share from what you have already received in physical reality and that which you have already created in the mind of God, but may not necessarily have seen it in the physical reality yet. And so in a moment, I'm going to ask you to go to www.oasiscsl.org, which is on your screen. And about 2/3 down the page is an offering affirmation I'll have you say with us. And then there's a Contribute Now button underneath that. So let me talk about contributing now, what that means, because we don't have a facility. So you're not paying for rent or utilities, or you're not contributing to any of that. What you are contributing to is the message of God getting out into the world, because our vision and mission is all about, like, our vision is a world that is healed. And our mission is about getting God's message out into the world to uplift and inspire one person at a time. So what you're contributing to, unfortunately, it costs money to do that. We already have people from Holland, the UK, and Germany watching. And so what you're contributing to is for us to get out to the world, literally the world, and uplift and inspire one person at a time. So please keep that in mind as you contribute. All right. So now, whether you're watching this in real time or you're watching it later, you can go with us right now to www.oasiscsl.org. And about 2/3 down the page is the offering affirmation. Please say that with me right now. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. Hit that contribute now button and help us get that vision and that mission accomplished. All right. We have a wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast who serve on our ministry of prayer, which is our God Squad. We call it the God Squad. They are the healing arm of the church, and they will pray every day for you for an entire week as the God Squad. So if you would like prayer for something, please put it in the comments section, and Faith will add it to our private group page on Facebook. It's private only to the God Squad, and that's where all the prayer requests go. If you don't want it to be public, you can always message either Faith or myself, and we will make sure it gets on there. And if you would like to serve only for that function as a God Squad member, meaning that you are willing to do affirmative prayer, you follow through on it every single day for a week, and you keep those requests confidential, type yes, and Faith will add you to the private facing group page, which allows you to see the prayer requests. Okay. You don't have to be a licensed practitioner for that. Just make sure it's affirmative prayer. No beseeching, no asking. Okay. All right. And if you would like to be part of our greater community, our online community, type more in the comments section, and Faith will get you put on the public facing group page. And this is a place where you would get information about what we're doing, any events, any classes we're offering, anything like that, before the rest of the world gets it. So type more and Faith will take care of that. All right. Our licensed practitioners are available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance. So you would reach out to them by video chat and you would reach out to them. Let them know that you would like to sign up for an appointment. They will figure out how you pay them. I don't get involved in that. Some practitioners use Venmo, some use PayPal, some use Cash App, some use Wise. Whatever they use is fine. I don't get involved in any of that. They're a separate business themselves. And then they will reach out to you at your appointed time by video chat. Take advantage of this loving service that our practitioners provide, because our licensed practitioners are the best. So, I mean, not that we're comparing them to anybody else. I'm just saying they're the best. They're great people. All right. So, let's see. I've covered all that. Okay. Brooks and Bailey. Let me get that up real quick here. I know I'm running over a bit. I'm sorry. Okay. These are mala beads that come from Brooks and Bailey. These are amethysts. They're $60, but they have cheaper ones, $30 and up, depending on what gemstone you pick. You can reach them by going to brooksandbailey0307@gmail.com, or on Facebook. They have a page. And also, when they share events that they're going to be at, they set up these little booths. When they share events, I always try to reshare them so that you can see those as well. All the proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. And like I said, you reach out to them and let them know what kind of thing you would like. Their mala beads have 104 beads on them, which the Hindus and the Buddhists use one bead at a time to count their mantras. And I always say that's a great way to do affirmations, because I want you to do 100 affirmations a day. That's what I suggest, right? So it's a great way to do that. Their bracelets have 54, so you would just do it twice. All right, Faith.
And please check out my metaphysical shop. The website no longer works, but you can order through Instagram and Facebook at the Mystic Brew 303. We have intention jars as well as kits to make them yourself, and bath salts. So just DM or message us and we can get it to you and figure out payment. Also follow us for upcoming events. We are planning on doing something for New Year's Eve, so definitely check us out.
All righty then. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing here. This is the intention jar that she gave me for prosperity. You can see the wax is just completely gone now because I fiddle with it when I'm working on my prosperity. Those are $15. So definitely check them out. And we have an adjunct vendor as well, Angel Renee, who has intention candles and a tea bag that you can buy to put in your bath. And the herbs have an aroma that helps you to focus on your intention. She has an Etsy store, so check her out. All right. And then I always like to mention Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver's website. Go there, figure out which CD you want. We do a lot of music for Elaine's stuff. The We Are All One song that we do is available. Anyway, figure out which CD you want, and then you're going to have to get a hold of her through email. She travels around the country singing, and she carries her CDs in the trunk of her car, but she can't update her website for some reason to figure out a way to let you pay. So you just have to reach out to her by email and let her know which CD you want, and she will send it to you. And then we have Karen Drucker as well. Now, her website works. And you can buy it by the song, by the CD, by the song book. She also has karaoke files for you. We use all of her music. We use her music all the time. We use it for the ending, the closing song we're going to do in a minute. Maybe we won't do the closing song today. We're probably not going to do the closing song today because I've got too long-winded again. I am so blessed, which is a great meme to get stuck in your head. But she has a lot of great CDs. And because we do a lot of her music, we always recommend that you go visit her website. And like I said, you can buy it right there off the website. We like to support those who support us. So definitely go check these two ladies' music out. And then, of course, look at us at our website, oasiscsl.org. We have video sermons from the last 3 years. We have audio sermons from years prior. And we're also on YouTube and SoundCloud under S. Tucker. So the video files are on YouTube and the sound files, the audio files are on SoundCloud. So check out all of that. Get some prior sermons, listen to what we've done in the past and listen to what we're doing now. We love it that you do. And then our website also has pictures of events that we've had so you can get to know our spiritual family. So definitely check out all of that information. So right now, I'm just blessing the service. I'm blessing this week. I'm blessing this day. I am just knowing without a shadow of a doubt that joy finds us in everyday circumstances. And as we express that joy and as we experience that joy, it grows into bigger and bigger forms of joy. So I bless this coming week. I am grateful for all of it, and I just let it be. And so it is. And so here we are. Next week, join us. Let me get everybody up here. Next week, join us 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time and every Sunday. But next week, we're going to be lighting the Hanukkah menorah because it is officially, the 18th is the official start date of Hanukkah. And so we will light the menorah next week. And I'll be talking about hope. And so in the meantime, there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning. We're glad you were here with us. In the meantime, stay safe, wear a mask, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. We love you.